I have a I have a printout of Joe Biden's conversation with the child today because Joe Biden's doing the. It's okay, Chris. It's okay. He's doing a meet and greet over there. And so Joe Biden says, "What's your question?" And the kid said, "What's the top step to success?" And Biden says, "What's the top what?" and the kid says, steps, step to success. and Biden says, "What's the top step to success?" The child says, "Yes." And Biden says, "Oh, well, making sure that we don't all have COVID." What? Why? What are we talking about here? Joe Biden killing it over there today for
Our
us.
history reminds us, our history, ours, yours and mine, reminds us of the responsibilities we have to the president. It should be the president.
He kept going.
It's hard to communicate just how deeply invested in your success, the people across the United States are. And those of you who've been there know it. You know it. I'm not making this up. This is real. It's almost people can taste it.
Can taste it, Chris. Oh, yeah, Chris, absolutely. We forgot the bit.
Nothing our nations can achieve if we do it together. I really mean it. So thank you all. God bless you all. Let's go lick the world. Let's get it done.
Let's go lick the world. All right. So just stop. Focus here. We have warned, you've warned, I've warned, we all know Joe Biden's ties, ugly ties, let's be honest, illegal ties to other places around the world means that he should never have been president. And just pause on that for a brief moment. This is why it's so dangerous to have a media like we do. You really do, as a nation, you have to have a media. But because all we have are communist apparatchiks, enemies of the state, they chose to cover up for him. But this is why. A media would have exposed all this stuff. And frankly, Joe Biden would not have come close to getting out of a primary. That if you had a media, that would have been the goal. But since we don't have a media, he gets out of the primary. He gets elected president. Well, the problem with that is this. Joe Biden's entire career has been using his political office, whatever those offices were, to enrich himself through his family. Because remember, the president, the candidates and the presidents, you always have to submit all your stuff. You have to submit all your financials. You can't have $10 million in the stock market and no one knows about it. You have to disclose all those things. Well, these politicians aren't dumb. You don't keep the money. In fact, you don't even get the contract. Your brother does. Your son does. That's how it works. That's how the open corruption in Washington, D.C. works. Joe Biden has famously taken part in that for years. This is long before he was president. It was well known as the Biden family business. The Biden family business. Whatever access, whatever power Joe Biden has, you can get some of that for a fee. And that went overseas. And Joe Biden started working in places like Russia, like Ukraine, like China, and working through family members. Well, that's all bad anyway. That kind of corruption is bad anyway. But when you become the commander-in-chief, let's just say, hypothetically, that you were the commander-in-chief. You were the president of the United States of America. And let's say, again, totally hypothetical here, let's say through you, your son had a bunch of very shady-looking business deals with, let's say, China. Just for the sake of argument, China. And then you're president. China knows about you and your son's business deals. And then you're China, and you want, I don't know, Taiwan. You're looking over at this island called Taiwan, and you think it belongs to you, and you think you want to go take it. And you know you'll be able to take it with a little, but not too much trouble, unless the United States of America steps in. This is why it's so dangerous to have a president who's compromised. Headline: China sent a not-so-subtle threat to Joe Biden by revealing Hunter Biden's bank records. It's something called Cathay Bank with a C. I'm sure that's not how you say it, Chris. I don't know. I don't speak Spanish. Anyway, it's Cathay Bank. And what they did was they sent these records to the Republicans in Congress. Now, what are they doing? You know what they're doing. I don't even have to spend any more time on it. You know exactly what they're doing. This is blackmail. This is telling Joe Biden, hey, we have everything. Do keep that in mind when we start stepping over the line that we have everything. And you, Commander-in-Chief, better take that into account before you consider trying to stop us. Hey, look, what do you want? What do you want me to tell you? This is the nation we have now. This is part of the problem with a late-stage republic. Did you ever hear that story? There's a story from the Greek world. I'm going to mess up the details of it, but there's a story from the Greek world, and I believe it was Athens. My buddy Lee Smith wrote a great article about this. It was a story about how, I think it was Athens. I'm almost positive it was Athens, but it could have been Sparta. I'm embarrassed about that I'm messing that up now. I think it was Athens, though, that they got in this long war, and they eventually lost it because in the end, as the people found out, they were a late-stage empire too, and in the end, all the leaders simply had sold them out to the enemy. They just sold them out. So there was no way they could win because the people who led the society were already bought and paid for. That's kind of where we are here. And it's not kind of, it's really where we are here. But don't worry, Joe Biden's in Ireland killing it.
My greatest regret is my grandfather Finnegan, who was an Irish-American whose grandfather was Owen Finnegan, who made the effort. And he was a great athlete. Went to Santa Clara University, and he was a newspaper guy on the business side. And I never understood what he meant when he said, Joey, I worry about you. He'd lean over. I said, Pop, what do you worry about? He said, you're too much like that guy who led the revolution instead of the guy who was the prime minister. I said, he said, you got to be less like the military guy. They shot him.
What's he talking about?